As the death toll from the greater Los Angeles wildfires grew to claim more lives than 10 and displaced over 180,000 LA locals, Airbnb started conveniently making headlines offering to house the poor people of LA. Something didn't feel right. What they were offering to do just couldn't be legal, so I investigated. And what I'm about to show you is a paper trail that proves that Airbnb formed a nonprofit to illegally enrich themselves, taking advantage of disasters, all the while cosplaying as the white knight in the media. Today, we uncover the truth about Airbnb.org. Airbnb.org on the surface is your everyday Good Samaritan nonprofit, connecting the temporarily homeless with temporary housing solutions, all the while free to those in need. Airbnb.org finds locations by leaning on the pre-existing global network of Airbnb Incorporated, asking these hosts to offer up their homes for free or at a real substantial discount, where Airbnb.org then covers the rest of the payments to these hosts from fundraised or donated proceeds, while Airbnb Incorporated agrees to waive all their service fees for Airbnb.org transactions. So far, picture perfect propaganda. Airbnb will have you believe that it makes all of its profit on these service fees that they're waiving, and their commitment to waiving said fees for Airbnb.org transactions is whole and complete in their bid for transparency and fairness. But there really is so much more at play here. Number one being the float. The float is a phenomenon created by companies who proactively collect cash, hold that cash, and then delay the distribution of that cash down the road, creating a bloat of cash that they control between both transactions. Such as with gift cards. You can purchase a $20 Starbucks gift card on the 15th of December, gift it on Christmas Day, and then someone starts to utilize that gift card down the road if they remember to, and often only in part. Airbnb reported in the third quarter of 2024 that they generated $192 million in proceeds profit from investing activities related to their cash balances. And the last reported metric on another stat that I could find was the third quarter of 2022. They reported that the customer cash within their float was 30% of their asset value. Even if Airbnb Incorporated never collected a single dollar in service fees for the transactions conducted by Airbnb.org, all of that cash pushed through Airbnb payments, where Airbnb can control that money, increases Airbnb Incorporated's enterprise value. That inflated cash balance plus the proceeds of profit from investing that cash can positively affect their price to earnings ratio, driving up the prices of their shares. I would also believe that they can finance against their cash balances, inflating their cash within the float and obtaining a larger amount of financing that they can use to reinvest within their business down the road, leading to more profits that benefit shareholders. Now, why is this a worry? It's that nonprofits often have restrictions on how they conduct themselves. It's not per se illegal that Airbnb owns a nonprofit that they do business with, as long as that business fairly plays by the rules. They couldn't with Airbnb.org take a greater service fee, for example, than they would take on a normal transaction. So no price fixing, no preferential treatment, and no conflict of interest. The key consideration that we're going to dive deeper into is this concept of private benefit and inurement. That defined is that nonprofits, through their transactions or activities, can't unduly benefit an individual or an organization. Now, I've only shown you one case that Airbnb stands to benefit from the use of Airbnb.org, more to come, but we're also going to address the claim of unduly benefit, or at least preferential treatment, of Airbnb Incorporated. Airbnb benefits another key way, which is user adoption. Airbnb is a tech company, and a peer-to-peer software relies on users on both sides of the fence to transact business. They can only sell as many units of housing as they have available on the Airbnb platform, and over the last 2 decades of growing as a company, their valuation in their Series A or Series B rounds has been dependent on the number of users, not just revenue, but users on their platform. What's interesting about Airbnb.org is that in order for you to provide a service through Airbnb.org, or for you to take benefit of free housing on Airbnb.org, you have to be registered on the Airbnb platform. This one stipulation may be the most incriminating part of this investigation. Stick around towards the end because it gets complex. But first, let's look at user acquisition in a vacuum, going back to the Ukraine conflict and Airbnb's involvement there as a prime example. Airbnb.org launched an initiative to house Ukrainian refugees, leading to over 21,000 hosts to step up to provide their homes to Ukrainian refugees. But over 25% of those hosts were never hosts before, leading Airbnb to rapidly gain 5,000 users on the host side because of the activities of Airbnb.org. These users have a value. Airbnb would call this the cost of acquisition. Throughout the history, Airbnb has spent money on marketing with third-party companies or referral programs with hosts to try to win new hosts. When I was affiliating through a third-party company in Airbnb, that company was being paid over $1,000 per head to gain new hosts as users through the existing host community. Many thousands of hosts can testify to being paid by Airbnb upwards to $600 a head. And to understand that Airbnb would normally pay to gain hosts in any area, and the fact that they got these hosts for free because of Airbnb.org initiatives and the money that they spent to acquire new hosts for this disaster, Airbnb was estimated to save over $3 million on the cost of acquisition of over 5,000 new hosts. And this is just one example. It's happening right now in Los Angeles, California because of these wildfires. Adoption on the guest side is slightly different. Of course, there's goodwill generated from being housed for free by Airbnb, and you'll feel compelled to book with them again one day in the future. And those paying guests do have a value, but the fact that you have to be a registered user on Airbnb is the most nefarious part of this whole design. This proves that Airbnb never intends on sending these users to anywhere else but a property registered on Airbnb, where Airbnb stands to directly benefit from that transaction. They will never send that user to a Marriott hotel or to a property on VRBO, but not on Airbnb. Additionally, one small aside note here is that everybody on Airbnb has to pass some form of screening, meaning that a small criminal record could leave you not being helped by Airbnb.org, leading to unfair treatment of those truly in need because of Airbnb's screening policies. Airbnb.org doesn't choose who gets to stay at the end of the day because Airbnb has to guarantee that reservation to the host. But as we look deeper, by actually looking wider, we can see the whole design. Airbnb.org raises money and then hires marketing staff and fundraisers and directors to then try to increase Airbnb's host footprint by leveraging disasters and crisis. They then take the leftover proceeds from donated dollars and they funnel that money into partially paying these hosts for the places that they offer. But they will never spend a single dollar on a potential Airbnb competitor in the process. They get to take advantage then of the lifetime value of that host that then discovers that they could make money by hosting their home on Airbnb. And not only does Airbnb Incorporated benefit from the user growth and the cash position that they acquire from these activities, but they're actively trying to prevent their competition from winning any business through the acute need of these disasters by leveraging a nonprofit to try to place people in need before they might actually legitimately spend money somewhere else, or where they could get support elsewhere and then spend that money on a legitimate competitor to Airbnb Incorporated. And at the time of making this video, I have not been able to find one instance, even utilizing AI to help me do research, of Airbnb.org ever enriching any other business in competition with Airbnb to house someone who's in need. If Airbnb is going to house someone, they are only going to house someone in a way that directly benefits Airbnb Incorporated. For this reason, I believe Airbnb.org is an illegal nonprofit standing only to benefit Airbnb Incorporated through abstract value creation, leveraging disasters to take advantage of acute need. And I, as an Airbnb host, would stand to benefit from that increased footprint or the temporary goodwill created from these campaigns, but even I have to call a spade when I see a spade. I'd like to know what you guys think down in the comments. Please tell me below. And thanks for watching this all the way through to the end. You're my favorite people. As always, my friends, I will see you on the other side.